We do have two startups to pitch today, and the first is Phil from Homi, and I'm just going to hand it right over to you.
All right, well, thank you guys for having me. My name is Philip Zhao. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Homi. What Homi is it's a student alumni networking app that helps college kids figure out what they want to do with their lives. Because let's face it, most college kids don't. I'll tell you a little more about my story because I feel that ties into the Homi story, and then we'll talk about what we've been up to and what we've built and how we're going to take over the market. So I was a econ major at Carleton College down in Northfield, Minnesota, originally from Los Angeles. I went into college wanting to do something business finance related. Absolutely no idea what I wanted to do. So I started talking to these alumni, and everyone said, spend some time in investment banking. It'll be great for your career, and you'll learn a ton about finance. So I spent some time in JP Morgan's asset management group. I was looking into investment opportunities in Asian insurance markets. It was really interesting. I learned a ton about Asian insurance. Did you know that China only 5% of Chinese people have health insurance, which is wild because the insurance industry only opened in 1985. And then I went to Morgan Stanley. I was working on the high frequency trading desk and the prime brokerage desk, and learned a ton about the financial markets, but wasn't really sure if that's what I wanted to do the rest of my life. So I took some time off from school. I backpacked around China, worked in a bunch of hole-in-the-wall restaurants, and cooked Chinese food for a while. I realized I wasn't going to be a Chinese chef. And then I moved out to New York, and I emailed every single Carleton alum in the directory, and just ran around town knocking on doors. I literally knocked on Deutsche Bank's door because they wouldn't let me in the building. And that's for me when I realized that alumni, these mentors, these were the people that had helped me, figure out what I wanted to do, help me get into banking, help me get all my jobs and internships. So I figured, why doesn't every college kid have that opportunity? So I reached out to my buddy Adam, who was working at Twitter at the time, and we started building Homi while at Carleton. We pushed out our MVP, so our minimum viable product, in May. And when I say minimum viable product, it was more minimum than product. It's broken, notifications didn't work. You couldn't really use the app, but we still signed up 20% of campus. And we realized that, why are people signing up for something that doesn't actually work? And we started to look into it, and we realized there was a really, really serious problem we were solving, which is that at these liberal arts colleges, just colleges in general, in order for you to get a job at a big company or a company that you really want to work at, you have to do some sort of networking. And that usually involves alumni networking. People who went to your school, got a job there, and then you can reach out to them, and they can tell you how they got there, and they can help you out. But we did a survey of Carleton students, 130 students. We found that 60% of them don't reach out to alumni because they don't want to bother them. So two problems there. First off, 60% of your kids aren't talking to alumni. That's bad. The second is that there's this negative perception of networking. And for college kids, young people, networking's like this word that's left over from the 80s. No offense to anyone from the 80s. And it's something where, it's scary. It involves sending emails to strangers asking for a job. And it's not something I want to do on a Friday night. And so we thought about it, and we thought to ourselves, why don't we just take that concept of networking and transform it into something that's meeting awesome alumni and hearing their stories. And so we started building Homi. The idea was to connect students and alums and help them build meaningful relationships so that when you reach out to an alum, you're not talking to an investment banker at XYZ company. You're talking to John Googe, who works in Goldman Sachs asset management group, but also likes rock climbing on the weekends and has 2 kids and a German Shepherd. And that's actually a guy on Homi. And so we got funded by angel investors after graduation. We moved into a big house. We call it Homi HQ. And we live and work together. So there's 4 of us full-time, 2 people still in school, and 1 kid who took a job before Homi was invented and is consulting on the side. And so we started building. The last 4 months have been head down, finish our mobile apps, we finished our recruiting tool, and we're almost 1,000 users across 3 schools. That's Carleton, St. Olaf, and McAllister. And we might actually be over 1,000 by today. We were 980 last night. I'm sure it's 1,000 some now. And so a question comes up of how do we make money? You're a networking platform, you're a Q&A platform. And if you look at the most successful Q&A platforms, none of them actually make money. Quora, they just raised $50 million at a $1.1 billion valuation. If you look at an interview with Adam D'Angelo, he'll tell you, we'll monetize by doing ads sometime in the future, which is kind of scary to hear with all these tech unicorns and whatnot. But we're in a really unique place in that the content we're creating on Homi is gold for recruiters. what we do is we built these algorithms, site engagement algorithms, that take everything you do on Homi, and it paints a better picture of you as a candidate. So, Goldman Sachs might never send a recruiter out to Northfield, Minnesota, but if they can see the questions that students are asking, the answers they're giving, the quality of those questions and answers, even the alumni they're talking to, which alumni are at their firm, alumni can even refer students into their company via Homi. And we're creating a marketplace for students, alumni, and recruiters. It's something that colleges and career centers have been trying to do since inception, but haven't been able to do. And so we're finishing up our recruiter tool. It should be done in the next couple weeks. We've met with the emerging tech groups of Target, Best Buy, 3M, all the big Minnesota Fortune 500 companies about recruiting off the platform, and they've all expressed interest because they realize that just going to the U of M, St. Thomas, isn't cutting it. They need to hit every college in Minnesota, and they need to find top talent from everywhere. That's pretty much what we've been up to. I'm happy to field any questions. I'd like to show you what Homi is because it's easy for me to just talk about it, but actually seeing an engaged community is a different story. I can walk you through the pitch deck as well, but I think this should be more of a question and answering session, and happy to field any questions. Thank you. I will. So this is Homi. Can everyone see? Awesome. So you can go and you can ask questions. Oops. You can go and ask questions about anything you're interested, from med school to organic chemistry classes, sending follow-up emails, double majoring, and you can click on the question. You can see what's going on. So this student asked about how do you be personal in an interview? How do you really get your self across? You can see all the answers that alumni have taken the time to answer. These are all people who graduated from Carleton College who want to help out their alma mater. That's a long answer. You can check, you can comment and say thank you. You can also see the alum's profile and see who this person is. So this is Sarah Jang. She graduated in 2015, psych major, and she's a recruiter at Evernote. And so she's super interested in helping students and alumni figure out what they want to do. These are the questions she answered. You can also introduce yourself. And you can send a note, but instead of asking the generic, what do you do questions, you already know what she does. And so you can really get into the weeds and ask questions that you care about, that actually matter. You can also join all the clubs and teams, groups you're affiliated with at Carleton. You can see all the jobs that alumni are posting. And the more you engage with the community, the more you realize that you're creating this unique content that's actually helping kids. And as an alum, that's actually the biggest reason we see people coming back, because by sharing their story, they're fundamentally changing a kid's career and changing their life. Yep.
You got 3 schools now. How do you plan on bringing more schools?
Absolutely. So we started off, we wanted to build communities that were actually using the product. You see a lot of Q&A platforms that expand all over the place, and they've got maybe 20 people at each school using it. We wanted to really get an entire school on board, build a functioning alumni community. I'll talk about the go-to-market strategy. When we first started Homi, and you might find this a little funny, we had $0 marketing dollars. And so we thought, how do we get Homi out to the masses? So we started a late-night Chinese food delivery service. And it was back from my time cooking in China. And it was totally free for anybody. We bought the domain name homi.kitchen. So you just went to www.homi.kitchen. You could order Chinese food delivered to your door. And we had freshmen and scooters delivering all over campus. And all you had to do was check out Homi. And so that's how the word started getting around. We've got a campus ambassador program. So we have 35 campus ambassadors across 3 schools. And these are our product evangelists. These are people who believe in what Homi's doing, and they're the people who are spearheading efforts to sign people up. So right after this, I'm heading to Macalester College, where we've got 12 campus ambassadors who are going to be going around campus, talking to their friends, handing out stickers and pamphlets, and just getting the word out, because that's ultimately how you grow the community, not by sitting at a booth and tabling, but by getting an engaged group of people who believe in what you're doing. Yep. I get that question a lot, and that's a great question. So how we see it is that on LinkedIn's a place where you put your 30-second elevator pitch about your resume. It tells me all the bullet points that I need to know if I want to hire you. But on Homi, it's more personal. It's the place where you go where you want to actually meet people. I can't remember the last interactive conversation I had on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is for recruiting. Homi's a place where, as a college kid, I feel comfortable going because everybody, every alum, every older student, every person on the site is there. They signed up because they want to help me out, which is, for a college student, incredible. It's a place where you can ask the questions you've always wanted to ask without being afraid that people are going to ignore you. Yep.
So from a recruitment standpoint, has it been more difficult to recruit the college students or the mentors to adopt the platform?
Yeah, it's funny. We actually have more alumni than college students on the platform, which lends itself to the fact that there are just more alumni than students. So Carleton, there are just over 2,000 students. There are 13,000 alumni. Right now, our head count is 374 students and 412 alumni. And a lot of those are recent graduates. They're people who are fresh out of college, so they might actually place almost a student role where they're trying to figure out what they want to do. Because, they didn't get a job out of college, and they might be working at Starbucks or LA Fitness, and are trying to go for it. Yep.
I'm just curious, have you contacted Carlson School of Management?
We have not talked to the Carlson School of Management. One of our big focuses was starting off at smaller schools. Partially it was Carleton. Olaf was right next to us, so we figured those worked well together. We're waiting a little bit on Carlson to really build out our platform because, that's absolutely. For sure. Thank you. Yes.
So is your hope that like Facebook will buy you out for $5 million tomorrow or something?
I think 5 million is a little low, but it's every founder's dream that they take their company public. And I know that it's not 2000 anymore. Companies aren't going public for $2 million valuations. But I have a laundry list of companies that I think we could add value to. LinkedIn doesn't have a university presence. Facebook doesn't have a professional presence. Twitter doesn't really make money aside from ads. But the thing is, our goal is more to build this company. It's to build a community of users who love our product, not just people that we can smile at and get to sign up. And so that's my goal right now.
So your goal is to just build yourself, but not, you started off talking about making money.
Yeah.
But it sounds like the goal is just to get big and let somebody else worry about it.
And we get the monetization question a lot, just because nowadays you see all these tech startups that any kid with a hoodie and who knows how to code can raise $1 million and sell off to someone. But for us, it's we started off trying to help our friends find jobs. That was what really inspired Homi. And so the more we thought about it, the more we realized that there's a disconnect between the employers and the students and the alumni, where college kids talk to alums and they start to learn about their careers, but the next step is to bring employers into the picture. And so what our recruiter tool does is an employer logs on. I'll give you an example of a client that we have, Chicago Clearing Corporation. They're a securities class action claims filer, so they basically file paperwork for a lot of the big institutional investors. They're working on a case with Korean Air, and so they're litigating about $36 million in coupons, and they need to bring in Korean speakers who also know how to contribute to their database. So essentially Korean software engineers. And so they came to us and they said, we want to hire some interns, maybe a full-time analyst or two. Can you help us? And so we showed them our recruiter tool. We had Carleton, McAllister, and Olaf. And we said, what you do is you search for computer science majors, you search for kids who speak Korean, and then you can see every single student who has a Homi account, their profiles, their skill set, their resumes. And they ended up hiring 4 interns and a full-time analyst, and they're doing great with their coupon case. And so how we work is we have employers subscribe to our platform. We charge them a subscription fee to access everybody on Homi. You can put all the job ads you want on it, and then we charge you a contingency fee based off the talent you hire and the number of people you can source. And so I guess to answer your question is, once you bring the employers on the picture, then you also draw more students and alumni on because there's job opportunities. Yep. What do you?
That they've actually hired.
Yeah.
How do you keep them within the ecosystem?
Yeah, so we have a separate recruiter tool. And how it works is alumni or recruiters make an account. So there's a tangible recruiter account where you go in and you find the talent. And then in order to message them or to reach out to them, you have to use our internal messaging platform. And so the only way they can actually contact these students or alumni is through us. And so it gives us a way to verify whether or not they hired them or not. Yeah. I don't know if it's a good thing that I don't have questions.
Any other questions? Feedback?
Absolutely.
Actual interface, if a student from Carleton asks a question, is an alumni from St. Olaf allowed to answer that question?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what we've done is we've kept it college specific. So our thought was that, if I'm a Carleton alum, realistically, I'd want to hire or help Carleton students. So we've kept it closed groups. So St. Olaf sees a different feed, Carleton sees its own feed, and it's almost like you log on and you feel like you're back at Carleton again, where it's, hey, I remember, this kid's living in Musser 318. I lived there my sophomore year, and I also played tennis, and I remember Coach Steffen's Weifel, and you start talking about these things, and it's kind of like, oh wow, I want to give back, and I want to help, and so that's kind of what we're seeing, the engagement being like. Yeah.
How do you make Chinese food taste better with no MSG?
That's a great question. So it's not easy. Well, the thing is, I can confidently say that I'm one of the top 3 Chinese chefs in Minnesota. I'll throw that out there, and I'm not ashamed of saying that. You put a lot of love into it and passion, and it's something that it translates to Homi as well, where we graduated from college 4 months ago, and people look at us and they say, why are you qualified to run this company? Why are you going to build the next big thing? And for us, it's something we care about. It's not something that we plan to sell off to Facebook for $5 million. It's something that we think can actually change people's lives and really help students find jobs. So I guess that's not really how you make Chinese food, but yep.
How do you get corporations like 3M that basically abandon the east side to hire people from the east side?
So I guess, so when we talk to 3M, we talk to the emerging tech group, and their issue is that you only hire from a core group of schools. If you have an HR department, you've got maybe 4 or 5 recruiters. You can send those recruiters out to a couple schools. You pay for their travel costs, and then you have to pay for all these different expenses associated with it. The average cost of hiring for a U.S. employee is $3,600. That's not the signing bonus. That's not their pay. That's literally how much it costs just to get that person in the door and sign on the dotted line. And so $3,600, when you look at Target that's hiring 1,000 people because they're revamping their IT department, those numbers add up. And for us, we put everything in one place. And the cool part about it is you can see the personal side of it. You literally see the qualitative aspects, the hustle, the intellectual curiosity, the questions people are asking. These are the things that you can't put on a resume. And for an employer, I think that's incredibly valuable in making a decision on how this person adds value to your company. Yes.
So can you, so I'm an alumni of multiple schools. So
Sure. Yeah, and so that's what we're building out. Luckily, we haven't had any people who've gone to St. Olaf, McAllister, and Carleton together yet. And I'm sure it's going to happen. We have built out multi-school functionality, so that would be essentially I don't know if you've used Facebook or if you have a corporate Facebook account and your personal Facebook account. It's really just in the settings. You click and you go to the second page, and it's like Facebook, except you're using a different account. So something similar to that. We've also played around with the idea of connecting schools via organizations. So the Greek system, the Lambda Phi Epsilons. I mean, they're a national organization, and they have, I think it was 62,000 members across the country. And those are people from all sorts of different institutions. And one could argue that at a state school, you might be more affiliated with your fraternity than you are with your actual school. And so Homi stands for Humans of My Institution. It's a way for people to share their stories and to connect with people within their institutions. And we think that we're not limited just to schools. We could be the McKinsey Alumni Network. We could be really any institution that involves building relationships. This ties into. We're talking with the Junior Association of Entrepreneurial Youth. They've got about 20,000 people, and they want to use Homi as a networking platform for their organization. It's kind of like, well, we're focusing on colleges now, but the market for us is, we want to stay true to what we started building, not just kind of pivot all over the place wherever people want us. So it's kind of tough.
We have time for just one more question.
Does the career services department of each of these schools support you financially as a part of your
Yeah.
revenue model as well?
I wish they supported us financially. No, they unfortunately, career centers don't have very much money. The average career center budget is $80,000. And so $80,000. And the trend you see is that, there's a lot of career services management platforms, Handshake, Purple Briefcase, NACE. Little background, so every college has their sort of job posting platform, and most of those platforms are actually a third party. It's created by NACE, National Association of Colleges and Employers. They create a software where they scrape a bunch of jobs from Indeed.com and get a bunch of people to post, and then they have every college subscribe to it. And as a college, you have to subscribe to it, because if you don't, you're not doing right by your students, not helping them find jobs. But at the end of the day, all these jobs, they don't go anywhere. It's just a black hole where your resume ends up, and college kids apply and they feel like they're not getting any jobs. And so the way I look at it, these investors are giving me money not because I can help career centers send better emails that students are never going to read. It's that we're creating something that's fundamentally going to change how students and alumni interact. And my goal is to help students find jobs. If that's working with the Career Center, awesome. We're very open to working with them. But if working with the Career Center and rebranding is some sort of third-party platform takes away from student engagement, then I don't necessarily know if that's good for us.
Phil, the last question we always ask is, after this discussion, how can this community help you?
Yeah, so we're a very young group of people. I think our oldest member is 24, and we're first-time founders, and we would appreciate any advice, any mentorship, any feedback. We're very open to new ideas and new concepts, because that's the nature of our business. You innovate or you die. And if you have any ideas, feel free to shoot me an email. It's phil@homi.io. I check my email 24/7. I'm always tapped in. But just any thoughts and advice would be great. Thank you.